As 2014 draws to a close, we've been anguishing over who should be our Person of the Year. Pope Francis and Pope Benedict shared the honor last year. As we considered which person or persons made the greatest impact in 2014, for good or ill, a few contenders rose to the fore. We considered splitting the honor again between Cardinal Raymond Burke and Cardinal Walter Casper. These two men defined the Synod on the Family and were decisive in speaking to the two sides of this titanic debate that will rage into 2015 about the nature of marriage and the family. At the end, after a lot of back and forth, after reviewing many of your emails, we decided the World Over Person of the Year 2014 would be the persecuted Christians in the Middle East. It has been a horrific year for these people of deep faith with deep roots in their native Iraq, Syria, and even into Africa. I recently sat down with two people very attentive to the plight of these persecuted Christians in the Middle East. Nina Shea is a longtime religious freedom advocate at the Hudson Institute, and Father Benedict Keily is founder of Nazarene.org. We heard in some congressional testimony recently, Bishop Kalabat likened this situation for Christians in Iraq to an attack on Washington, D.C. How bad is it? Is it continuing?
It's an eradication of the entire Christian presence in Iraq. And Iraq is one of the four largest Christian populations, or it was 10 years ago, in the entire Middle East. So if the Christians of Iraq go, you're going to have the Christians of Syria, which is another one of these four, Lebanon, it's like a domino. And it is very, very serious. It'll be the eradication, the obliteration of the Christian presence.
We had 1.5 million Christians in Iraq 10 years ago. Now we're down to, what, 350,000, and God knows if it's that many.
If that. You know, they're saying that maybe there was 200,000 that was driven out of Nineveh over the summer. There are 120,000 registered in displaced camps in Kurdistan now. Some have already gone to Jordan, Lebanon, and points beyond. So we're really seeing the end of a 2,000-year-old civilization, a culture that was a peaceable culture, that had a tremendous treasure of patrimony for the entire church worldwide. So it's a crisis for humanity, not just for the church or for them.
Yeah. Father Keily, I love that you decided, and you came on our show last September, to promote your Nazarene.org initiative. And it was to raise not only the visibility, but funds for these Christians in Iraq. Tell us how things have continued, and where is this money going?
The money is going directly to Aid to the Church in Need, which is a charity founded after the Second World War. It has many people on the ground. They're trying to build, we're just a few days away from Christmas, they're trying to give shelter to about 10,000 people who are living still in the open. They're trying to build schools. They're trying to give what they call eye care packages for Christmas, to give children a coat, to give them some sweets, some candies, to give them a Bible. We're going to be celebrating heartily and well in this country and all over the world. And these people in the cradle of Christianity, as Nina said, it's a tragedy of immense proportions. And my conscience was troubled enough to do this, and I hope other people's consciences are troubled to do something, even if it's very small.
Yeah, and what has been the reaction to people wearing these items? And it's bracelets, it's
bracelets,
a new magnet.
Now we have a magnet. The reaction has been exactly what we wanted. It's become a conversation starter. We've shipped out, since I was on your show in September, 16,000 items, all from one little UPS store in Stowe, Vermont. One young lady doing all the work packaging. It's going to parishes. A parish in New Jersey bought 900 bracelets. Parishes are kind of making it their own initiative, but it's to pray first and foremost. Pray continually and constantly to show solidarity, and yes, all the money is going directly to Aid to the Church in Need to try and help in some small way.
Nina, let's talk for a moment. A lot of these Christians went to Syria seeking refuge. And the word at the time was, well, they're protected by Assad, curiously, the regime that we're fighting. Tell me what the situation is now for these Christians.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no place for them to go in the region. They used to go to Syria and move back and forth, maybe to Turkey, and as persecutions arose and fell, they would move around. There's fewer and fewer places. Some have gone to Jordan, Amman, a few thousand to Turkey, a few thousand to Lebanon, but Lebanon is full. So really what the strategy now is to try to send aid, like aid to the church in need and other groups. There are a number, the Knights of Columbus and so forth, the Kenan White's group, Andrew White, who I'm on the board of his group, by disclaimer. But we're trying to keep them there to see if they can ride out this ISIS takeover, the Islamic State takeover of their land.
Father Keily, you wrote a piece back in the summer and you repeated Hilaire Belloc's take on this kind of jihadism that we're seeing. Give us a sense of how those words, written almost 100 years ago now, how they are reflective of
Belloc wrote about 80+ years ago exactly when it seemed a complete nonsense to talk about the resurgence of Islam. It was the end of the First World War, that the Ottoman Empire had been defeated, the Turks had been defeated. Belloc said prophetically, a prophet is someone, who, Ronald Knox said, who sees evil with a clear eye. Belloc said that in probably about 80 years, he said, our grandchildren will be fighting Islam again. He's exactly right. British soldiers are dying, American soldiers are dying. He was a prophet. He warned of the resurgence of a battle that we've been fighting for 1,400 years. It's not politically correct to say it, but this has been a 1,400-year war, and it is not likely to end very soon.
Nina, what is, if there are any hopeful signs for these Christians? Where do they go? What do you think is going to happen? You've been monitoring this situation for
Well, the Holy
a long
Father
time.
has said, and the bishops there have said, that the Muslim world needs to speak out and condemn this movement, this extreme Islam that Father has just mentioned, that is has zero tolerance for the Christians, and they've been there for 2,000 years. Now they're being driven out mercilessly, as well as other groups like the Yazidis and moderate Muslims. That's one thing that needs to be done, is encouragement that they speak out more. The educational materials of countries like Saudi Arabia are very detrimental because they condemn the infidel, the Christian. And in fact, they're being used by ISIS and Mosul now in the schools, according to the New York Times. And the other thing is our allies, Turkey, has to stop the border. You know, there are Americans, there are Westerners who are coming in to join ISIS and think it's this utopic state of Islam. And so we have to shut that down. I'm very pessimistic about the possibility of getting the Christians back to a place like Mosul. Maybe they could go back to Nineveh if it's protected, but the question is, who's going to protect them?
Father Keily, last word. What do you want people to take away from this moment and this effort, the Nazarene.org effort?
I want them to, first, as I said, to pray continually. Our parishes should be praying on a weekly basis. Our bishops should be speaking out. Our Christian leaders' voices should be hoarse with speaking out about this. But also, hope is a theological virtue. Optimism is what politicians promise. In the short term, it's rather depressing and pessimistic. But small acts mean a great deal, and we know that the Christians in this area are very grateful that the Nazarene, not my project, but the symbol is being used, because people don't know. Even our own people at Mass, they don't know what's going on because the media, apart from EWTN, is not covering it. So prayer, solidarity, and charity.
Well, I thank you both for your efforts, and you are such a bright light to these people who are in extreme darkness.
Thank you for your
both
efforts,
of you.
Raymond.
And Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond.